Okay. Secure network architecture. The need for secure segmentation. So we've gone over VLANs. We know that they're used to segment portions of a network at two layers and differentiate devices. They are configured by a switch, adding a tag to a frame. So this kind of shows us the VLAN data frame and also an Ethernet data frame as well, and how the tags work. So the 802.1 tag provides a standard between the vendors that will always define the VLAN of a frame. For example, if our switches are Cisco and our routers are Juniper, they can send tagged frames and digest them equally because it is standardized. So tagging unknown traffic, the native LAN is used for any traffic that is not tagged and passes through a switch. To configure a native LAN, we must determine what interface and tag to assign them. Then set the interface as the default native VLAN. For as an example, so this right here on how to do that. Routing between VLANs. So how do we do that? Well, since they're each segmented, they cannot communicate outside their tagged devices, just as routers are used to communicate between traditional networks. Routers can be used to route between VLANs. So common secure architecture. Let's go up here. So below right here is a table of commonly standardized zones. This is to familiarize yourself with the terminology and what you're going to use a lot. So external is all devices and entities outside of our network or asset control. The DMZ separates untrusted networks or devices from internal resources. Trusted is an internal network or device that is trusted and there's no confidential or sensitive information. Restrictive is any like high risk servers or databases. Management is any devices or services dedicated to network or other device management. It's less commonly seen and can be grouped with the audit zone. An audit is any device or services detected are dedicated to security or monitoring. This zone is less commonly seen and can be grouped with management. So basically, management and audit are one of the same. Right. Here's a nice little image of what shows each layer kind of is. How restricted is locked, trusted, you have some access to stuff. DMZ separates your untrusted from your internal resources, and then external wireless is that's not with your network or asset control. Okay. So network security policies and controls. What are some of these? Well, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, or the IEEE, has standardized a handful of access control and traffic policies, such as the quality of service. A access control list, or ACL, is used as a loose standard to create a rule set for different implementations and access control protocols. The ACL contains the ACE, or access control entry, that are rules that define a list profile based on predefined criteria. Okay. So zone pairs. Zone pairs are direction-based and stateful policy that will enforce the traffic in single directions. Per each VLAN, hence zone pair, for example, DMZ to LAN or LAN to DMZ. Below is an example of setting it up. So right here, this is honestly the hardest part, I'd say. Just wrapping my head around this, especially with the site that it made us use. It was just a little confusing in my opinion. Eventually I did get the hang of it, but I felt like I could use a more like hands-on approach to learn it. So, validating network traffic. SSL, or TLS inspection uses a SSL proxy to intercept protocols. Once intercepted, the proxy will decrypt the traffic and send it to be processed by a Unified Threat Management Platform, or UTM. UTM solutions will employ deep SSL inspection, feeding the decryption traffic from the proxy into other UTM services, including but not limited to web filters or IPS, to process the information. So some common attacks is snooping or DHCP snooping. So although DHCP is a layer 3 protocol, snooping operates at the switch, which is at layer 2. The switch will store untrusted hosts and leased IP addresses in a DHCP binding database. The database is used to validate traffic and can be used by other protocols such as dynamic ARP inspection, which they said they'll cover later in the tasks. So the dynamic ARP inspection is a security feature that validates address resolution protocol, or ARP as we know. It will validate and rate limit ARP packets as necessary. If an ARP packet's MAC or IP address do not match, the protocol will intercept, log, and discard the packet. The ARP inspection uses DHCP binding database filled with DHCP snooping as its a list of binding IP addresses. And that was pretty much it. Like I said, I think that my zone pair was probably the hardest thing to really wrap my head around. But also, I got it eventually. But it was a fun week for these lessons. And I think it was a few good ones to bring in for Cybersecurity Month.